Aboraboy, this is Olu Fakola Day of Idinkai Ifa Temple, and this is our Ile Juba Temple service. We welcome you.
Aboruboye gbogbo awo aboruboye ẹ̀yin babaláwo èèyàn ìbọrùbọyè.
Good morning. So this morning, we're going to be pre-recording our temple service so that we can avoid any sort of interruptions. So any messages that you might have, you can put them below and I will respond later. So let's begin this morning with prayer. Ashe. Mojuba Olorun, Mojuba Leda, Mojuba Oloma, Mojuba Olodomare, Mojuba Bobo Romale, Mojuba Bobo Imale, Mojuba Bobo Egun Tembele Solodomare, Mojuba Shungare, Mojuba Quere, Mojuba Falcramos, Mojuba Tom, Mojuba Flori, Mojuba Palau, Corriente, Mojuba Felipe, Zaluetu, Mojuba Kunjobi, Mojuba Miye, Mojuba Shamala, Mojuba Shalanko, Mojuba Tonade, Mojuba Shubi, Mojuba Oba, Sejaman, Ate Fume the first, Mojuba to our world Metahochizan, Mojuba to all of our elders who have guided us on the path of Ifa. Mojuba to Baba Ifa, Solag Bade, Popola, Mojuba to my parents, Catherine Edmonds, and my father, Baba Robert Edmonds. Mojuba to our Baba Ifa's Irawo Ifa. Mojuba to Olunla Irawo Ifa. Mojuba Oluwo Jose Rodriguez. Agbola. Thank you for your support. Thank you for blessing me with this information. Ejobe. He hears people's pleas and accepts the pleas. He hears people's pleas and approves the pleas. He talks to people and ensures that the talk is completely absorbed. He hears people's pleas and accepts the pleas in the name of Ifa. He hears people's pleas and approves the pleas in the name of Reshuadar. He talks to people and ensures that the talk is completely absorbed in his name. Orishanla. Orishanla, you the person most of being. The person most one cannot fail to impress when the strike frog is Winston's rainfall. The boil frog is Winston's downpour. It is whatever the accurate poem to tells earth or that accepts. Whatever the big rat tells earth or that accepts. All what I tell you about, please accept and approve him. I share. Autorete. To show gratitude upon gratitude, the all of our gratitude. To display benevolence upon benevolence is the all of our benevolence. Whoever can show gratitude for yesterday's benevolence, such a person I will see today's fertility. These are the declaration by 2, the 401 in Rumale, and going to Mayo, where the daughter of Orisha Babuji. These are also the declaration by to Rumala, and going to Mayo, where the daughter of Orisha Babuji. I'm grateful I see my gratuity. I'm grateful yesterday's favor. I see today's gratuity. Oturete, we are very grateful. Ashe. Àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búre, àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre, àdúpẹ́ àná, àwọn múre tó nímọ̀ Olódùmarè, àwa dúpẹ́, àwa búre, àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre. Adúpẹ́ àná àwòrán ìnẹ́bù orí àní àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre adúpẹ́ àná àwòrán ìnẹ́bù ìlú mọ̀lẹ́ àwa dúpẹ́. Àwa búre, àwa dúpẹ́ àwa búre, àdúpẹ́ àná àwòrán tó níbò lẹ́gùn lóríṣà. Olódùmarè, the divinities, we thank you for life, health, strength, food, clothing, shelter, and we ask for forgiveness. Forgive us for anything that we've done wrong, done incorrectly, any taboos that we might have broken. We call on Eroso Etutu. Kanediama that soup can be very difficult to consume. These were the declarations to Colombia. Eroso Etutu. Kanediama can be very difficult to consume. These declarations to the child of Agbanebego. He who was full of bad character, he whose bad attitude had prevented him from entering to E5's domain. Now we come to solicit on behalf of the Tutu. Please, we beg on behalf of the Tutu. How many children does E5 have that he would cast one out? Those who beg on behalf of the Tutu are shared. We call on the Odu Ogbe Alara as we pray for the things that we need and we desire. E5, please push away death from us, push away sickness, push away cases, controversy, war fights, litigation, losses in our fights. Bring to us long life, wealth, good spouse, good children, peace of mind, healing, joy, victory, and all the good things of life. Asher, Ogbelara, Orumla said it's time to sleep. I echoed it's time to sleep. When the day dawned, I met Orumla in the 16th room where he covered his head with a flowing gown full of lice. He was wearing a dress full of bloodstains. He was snoring heavily. They told him that a delegate from his disciple had. Orumla inquired about what the delegate had brought. They told him they brought 2 rats swift and running, 2 fish graceful swimming, 2 birds swift in flight, and 2 goats with big livers. Orumla said, "That's not enough to wake him up. I admit my ignorance. Please educate me. Motunakaraba. I hide myself in your bosom and survive. Motunakaraba. The dog can masquerade beast, I got John Peely. The dog can masquerade beast, I got John Peely to perform rituals because of children. You are the leaders. We are the followers. Leaders are the ones who show the followers wisdom." Rumor told them to get alligator pepper, to get colonel, to get bitter colonel, to get alcohol. The Akapo got the alligator pepper. He got the colonel. He got the bitter colonel, and he got the alcohol. That is right. Is now that you are fully awake. Orumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes of compassion. It is with eyes of compassion that the heavenly stars use in looking at the stars below. Orumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with eyes of hope. 1 to secure great wealth. It is such good eyes that the heavenly stars use in looking at the stars below. Orumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help 1 to secure a good spouse. It is such good eyes my spouse should use in looking at me with. Orumla, when you are fully awake, please look at me with your eyes which help 1 to bear many children. It is such good eyes a child should use in looking at a well-decorated plate. Before long, not too far, join us in the midst of all evil and life. Before we ask that you would grant us these great things. And also, we put the Ashe of Oshetura into our prayers. Oshetura, Akikini Bagisa, the axe strike sharply against the tree. Castify for Orumla when he used to receive Iba and Ashe from Olodumare. Here's the advice of God. Now, if no one tells you should be wealthy, you should surely be wealthy. Akikini Bagisa, in the mouth of an owl, Zazivana Ashe, in the mouth of an owl. Notice you have victory, you surely have victory. Akikini Bagisa, in the mouth of an owl, as Ibanashe, in the mouth of an owl. If notice you have joy, you should surely have joy. Akikini Bagisa, in the mouth of an owl, as Ibanashe, in the mouth of an owl. If notice you have all good things of life, you should surely have all good things of life. Akikini Bagisa, in the mouth of an owl, as Ibanashe, in the mouth of an owl. Listen, maybe so surely shall it be. Oh, should try. Tiny on the feet of Tubu, the stripe of a chameleon is not big enough to be his headgear. Had it been enough to be his headgear, I would have taken it home and adorned my hair with it. These were 5 declarations to Aruela. We're going on a spiritual mission to a Jebula. We call on locust beans and money, call on the salt hill and make it rich. We call on Oshe Aruela. Oshe Aruela is a good Awu. If I support us, please continue to support us. Ashe. Ashe Urisha, Lenu Ashe Urisha. Lẹ́nu mi, wọ́n tí mo bá màmá wí o, ìrúmọ́lẹ̀ ò bá, Ifá ọba ò Ashe Òrìṣà. Lẹ́nu mi, bí mo dúró tí mo súre, bí mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ tí mo súre, bí mo kúnlẹ̀ tí mo súre, bí mo jókòó tí mo súre, ire tí mo sùn orí ti bọ́. Now, as we pray to our Oris, Orieni, Larure Yani o, Orieni, Larure Yani, Mojulo Mufawa, Orieni, Larure Yani, May our Ori support us. Bobore Chazu, Ifa Oba Lorun, Atibachaju, Ifa Oba Lorun, Oshe Aru Ila, Ifatibo. Olandamar and the divinities, please come and support us. Please ward off our death, ward off our sickness, ward off cases, controversy, ward off fights, ward off litigation, losses, and ally fights from us. Bring forth to us long life. Give us wealth. Give us good spouse. Give us good children. Give us stable home. Give us peace of mind. Protect us from the pandemic outside, the pandemic inside, the challenges around, and the challenges inside. Ifa, please support us. Support us. Ask at this time also that we will be able to hear a word of Ifa, a clean and pristine word of Ifa. Move my ego out of the way so that we can hear from you all, Lord, so that we can hear from Ifa. Asha emaka memene amo, emaka memene ano, emaka memene adelokun, tabule tori Ifa loni, ebora timpanini, ene banami, ati Ifa lelejo. Ashe. Thank you. Thank you all so much for tuning in, tapping in with us this Sunday. Like I said before, this particular temple service, Ile Juba temple service, is pre-recorded, but you will still be able to make your contribution through posting and also any other contribution you would like to do. We thank you all for joining us. You could be anywhere else. You could watch anything else, but you're watching this right now. So we bless you. All right. So today is going to be a unique discussion. Unique in the sense that we're talking about something that many times we talk about good character, but what about legacy? What of a good name? What are the elements that bring the aspects of what we call good character? And the key here, in my opinion, is integrity. So as you see on the flyer, I posted a picture of someone who's much beloved in our community, Ermias Ashidang, also known as Nipsey Hussle. And this brother, his birthday was this past week. So we want to pay homage to him and also recognize the legacy that he left, though his life was cut short way too soon by assassins or by uncultured individuals who didn't see his light, or probably saw it and wanted to cut it off too soon. But the deep thing about his process is that the beautiful legacy of the transformation from being a gang member to an entrepreneur, to an activist, to a person who bought up properties in our neighborhood, to that person. That is the beautiful legacy that lives on. And what we see in that is resilience and redemption, the aspect of being able to redeem oneself, transforming oneself from a prior offense that maybe individuals in the community might have taken as an offense, but transforming that into something that is quite elevated and blessed. So Nips, his legacy continues to live on. And the good name that he created in doing his good works is the thing that continues to sustain. And it's almost like Nipsey is like an Orisha of our neighborhood. An Orisha, so to speak, of Los Angeles. And I'm going to elaborate on what I'm talking about. But when we talk about this idea of reputation and having a good name, and what are those things? What are the building blocks of those powerful, powerful things? I think about aspects of Ifa. And one aspect that's really powerful is when an Awo is initiated to Ifa, and after that Awo is initiated, and they go through a process where they are tested and they graduate. And that is when the person who is an Awo or an initiate, when they graduate, that is when they become an actual Babalawo or Ianifa. It takes training to be that. You don't just get up off the mat and, oh, I'm a Babalawo. No, you go through training. There are 7 ashes at least that a Awo is given. And this is a matriculation process for an Awo to be a Babalawo or an Ianifa. So in this process, one of the things is after one graduates, then from my lineage, what we will do is we take a whole year and we wear white. This is after the graduation process, after you have graduated and now you are a Babalawo. Now you take on wearing white for a whole year and you become a traveling Awo. And as you travel, what is the key here in this traveling Awo process? Well, the thing is to develop your name, to develop your own personal signature and imprint that you place upon the world. And the unique thing about developing this beautiful imprint that you have on the world is that you develop your own name. And this is not a name that you call yourself. This is a name that the people who see you will call you. And as you go through this process through community and people see you and they see your good works, then they begin to name you. So much like in the Native American tradition where you see Sitting Bull, or you see various names that give a characteristic, that give homage to characteristics. But when we see characteristics, well, we hear character, that give homage to the character of that person, to the character of Sitting Bull. Why was Sitting Bull Sitting Bull? What is the nature of a bull that sits? Because that is power that stands still but can be exerted at any moment. That is Sitting Bull. And that is the beautiful aspect of when individuals watched him and saw his character. I would venture to say that he was an Awo in his own right. But when we think of these aspects of character and names, where do we find the name of the Babalawo? So we find the name of a Babalawo within the verse. So this is going to be somewhat educational. And it's not just going to be spiritually uplifting. This is going to be educational. So when we think about this, what I want you also to do is, in the Ifa verses that I will chant today, I want you to analyze the names of the Babalawos who are casting Ifa. So when we think of these names, let's think about the story of Otra Meji. So in this Ifa, this is a story about good names, and it's also a story about good character. And it's also a story about what you put out into the world is the thing that is reflected right back at you. Otoromeji Ifa says, if you do good, you do good for yourself. If you do wickedness, you do so for yourself. This was the Ifa cast for the blind man begging for alms in Hausaland. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. Not too long after, join us in the midst of victory. Victory over adversity is what one enjoys at the feet of the Holy Palm. So when we think of this Ifa, what's happening? So first of all, remember what I said, the name of the Babalawo is the nickname that gives the legacy of that Awo's character. So in this Ifa, the name of the Babalawo is, if you do good, you do good for yourself. If you do wickedness, you do so for yourself. That's the name of the Babalawo. And his name lives on. And his name then becomes imprinted in the verse. And it's almost as if that wall is immortalized. And then his name also becomes a message to all the people. It becomes an additional aspect of these are things that we need to watch out for. Doing good, if we do good, we do it for our own self-interest. If we do bad, we also do that for our own self-interest. So this is the story of the blind man who's begging. He went and cast Ifa with this Babalawo who had a name, and his name stood the test of time. But what this blind man knew is, as he offered a bow, one of the things that he would say as he would sit out there with his cup and people would put money in his cup, and he would say, if you do good, you do good. You do so for yourself. If you do wickedness, you do so for yourself. And this is what he would say. Anytime anybody put any money in his cup, you do good. You do good for yourself. If you do wickedness, you also do so for yourself. And so the king in the Hausa region became very enraged. She was like, what an arrogant thing for a beggar or an invalid to say. If you do good, you do good for yourself. If you do wickedness, you do wickedness for yourself. I'm going to show him. So the king devised a plan, and what his plan was he would give the beggar, the blind man, a bag full of poisonous snakes. And he would give him this bag under the auspices of it being a bag full of money. So he devises this plan, and then he finds these poisonous snakes, these cobras, and puts them in the bag. It was so full of poisonous snakes, and it was heavy. And what the king did is then he sends his helpers to go and give this bag to the blind man. But the other interesting thing about this is the prince, this son of the king, was looking on, and he looked on in jealousy, not knowing the full energy of the plan. He was like, why is my father giving my inheritance to this blind man that he doesn't even know? Why is he giving so much money to this invalid? I'll show them both. So the king sends his people to give this blind man this bag full of poisonous cobras. And as the blind man takes it, what does he say? If you do good, you do so for yourself. If you do wickedness, you do so for yourself. And he takes the bag full of what he thought to be money and what everyone thought to be money, but was actually full of poisonous snakes. Then, since the blind man had offered a bow, the son, the prince, comes and beat up the blind man. He beat him so bad that he was bloody. And then he took the bag of poisonous snakes. And what did the blind man say? If you do good, you do so for yourself. If you do wickedness, you do so for yourself. After he does this, then the prince reaches into the bag to get all that wonderful money that he thought he heard jiggling around in there. And it was at least 3 poisonous snakes that bit him simultaneously. He had so much poison in his bloodstream, he couldn't take 2 steps without collapsing. And when he collapsed, he died. His father was distraught. But the deep thing about it is that at the moment his father, the king, heard the words of the death of his son, he also heard the words of the blind man. If you do good for yourself. If you do wickedness, you also do that for yourself. So when we talk of this, the name, a good name, is important. But what comes with a good name also is good character. You can't have bad character and a good name. And you can't have good character and have a bad name. So the things that we do, the things that we put out into the world are the things that come back to us in many respects. And along with that, what are the things that Ifa says that we need to be putting out into the world? How can we develop good character? How can we develop a good name? Ifa says in Irete Olota, our houses are widely separated from each other. Our routes are not the same. If it were to be that we'd taken the same route, I would have followed you and accompanied you home. This was the Ifa declaration for Biala, who planned to become a student of Orunmila. He was advised to our elbow. The way of our Father is like that of an ant. Movement of our Father is like that of an ant. Only those who can follow an ant, those are the ones who can follow Edu. The movement of our Father is like that of an ant. So what is this Ifa saying? When we think about the aspects of not only good character, but living a good, correct, righteous Ifa life, what that also means is following Ifa, following Orunmila. And when we follow Orunmila, the deep thing about following Orunmila is that you can't follow Baba without seeing the texture of the world. And I won't say seeing hardship. I'm gonna say the texture of the world, seeing the nature of the world. One thing I always talk about when I say that verse is, I remember staying in Belize. And when I was in Belize, I remember one day there was army ants. And army ants march in a line formation, like army, like soldiers. And they were migrating. And what they ended up doing is, so you see this line of army ants, and you see like just tons of them, and they're moving to the place where they're going to set up their new home. And they're moving, and where I was, it was basically a home that was kind of built into the forestry. And the army ants came and nothing stopped them. The home didn't stop them. Some of them walked up and over the home. Some of them walked through the home, through the windows. If there was a blockage in the way they walked around, if there was a blockage that was built down, they went under. If there's a blockage that they had to get over, they walked over that. Nothing stopped them. If you stomped one of them, they didn't stop. They kept going. So when we think about this, two aspects of the ant, when we see this, is patience and persistence. Aspects of good character will take us to have patience and persistence. If we want to create a good name for ourselves and following Ifa and following Orunmila, it's going to take us having a measure of patience and persistence. We have to be like the ant. In the Odu Ifa, Otura Amosu, Ifa says, all babalaos are noted for behaving like cowards. All proficient herbalists are noted for stubbornness. The stubbornness of a proficient herbalist precludes them from knowing that war is at hand. Only a prominent babalawo will be able to inform them. These were the declarations of Ifa to Edo Amona when going on Ifa mission to Olupa Alaelu. He was advised to offer a bow against uprising. So when we think about this Ifa of Otura Amosu, I know that many of us might be set off by that. All Babalaos are noted for behaving like cowards. It doesn't say that Babalaos are cowards. It's saying that they're noted for behaving like them. And what does that mean? Behaving in the sense of what everybody else sees. Those individuals might say, that I was a punk. Because when someone offended him or when someone offended her, they didn't react immediately. They didn't fight back. They didn't claim their rights immediately. And you look like a coward. What did the Babalao do? The Babalao was offended and absorbed the insult and went and casted Ifa to figure out, okay, what does this mean? What do I need to do? All proficient herbalists are noted for their stubbornness. What Ifa is saying here is that an individual who relies solely on herbs or solely on charms, those individuals, if they rely solely on those things, they're not relying mainly on Olodumare. And that stubbornness in the sense of saying, I can handle it. You know what? I'm going to go handle it. I'm going to handle it myself. That aspect is what keeps them from knowing that their life could be in peril. It will take going to an awo or seeking deeper wisdom to understand. Ifa is saying so much here. In order to have a good name, in order to have good character, we talked about patience, we talked about persistence, but other things is you got to be slow to anger. You have to be able to, hold up, let me analyze all this stuff. Let me analyze these things from all these angles. Because if you react too quickly and wrong, it could end your life prematurely. And what is the legacy of character there? Ifa says we also need to be hopeful. And in order to generate or live a good life or have a good name, you gotta have hope. The Odu Ifa Edrogbe, Ifa says the deadfall trap fell and hit its chest on the ground. This was Ifa cast for Ale Tile when she was weeping in lamentation of her inability to have all Ire of life, she was advised to offer a bow. She complied. Now, Ifa says something beautiful. The night of all Ire has not yet fallen for an Awo. There is hope. There is future. Let no one lose hope on Edu. There is hope. There is future. Let no one lose hope on Edu. This is such a beautiful verse, and I say it to myself often. I say it to my family members often because Ifa is saying, don't lose hope. Don't lose that powerful quality that will make room for Olodumare to send help. Don't lose that quality. Don't lose hope. Even when the odds seem to be against us, we have to maintain hopefulness. Even when we think it's lost, we have to maintain hopefulness because it might not be time yet. What did I say before? Patience, persistence, slow to anger, and hope. These are powerful qualities that will help us create a powerful and good name. Ifa says this in so many verses. Remember what I told you, a name of an Awo standing the test of time. Let's speak on the Odu Ogbe Iona Ogbe Gunda. Ifa says anger amounts to nothing fruitful. Patience is the father of good character. This is the name of the Babalawo. That is their name. It sounds really powerful. Sounds really great, you know. And speaking it in English, it doesn't really give it its beautiful, powerful ring. In Ogbeyonu, Ifa says, patience is the father. Su'uru ni baba iwa. And what that basically means is patience. Su'uru is baba, the father of Iwa, character. That's a wonderful, beautiful way to say it. But that is not only the beginning of that verse, that's the name of the Babalawo. And as I said, the name stands the test of time. The name is a testament of that Babalawo's character. So Ifa says, there amounts to nothing fruitful. Patience is a father of good character. The elder possesses everything. These were Ifa's declarations to Orunmila when he was seeking the hand of Iya, the daughter of the king of Iwo. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. Before long, not too far, join us in the midst of Ire. The suffering which Orunmila experienced at Iwo is not mentioned in the end. Behold, my Iya Iwo, the reward as a result of suffering. When we think about this, in this Odu Orunmila, he had love in his heart. He saw this beautiful woman, her name was Iwa, and she was the daughter of the king of Iwo town. And so he wanted to marry her. But in order to marry her, he had to humble himself and be subject to her father. When he went for Ifa consultation, the Babalawo said, Orunmila, in order for you to be successful, in order for you to leave a good name, to make a good impression on the father and on this young lady, you got to be patient. You have to be able to absorb insult. If you can't do that, forget about it. And when he went to court this young lady and asked her father if he could have the permission to date her. The king of Iwo put Orunmila through so much drama. And as Orunmila was going through this drama, these various tasks, so to speak, it became very difficult for him to maintain patience. But he had already offered Abo and done everything he needed to do. So after so much patience, so much stopping his anger, at the very end, the king announced, "Behold, this is my new son-in-law." Orun was like, "I really like her. I just want to know her." The king said, "No, you have exhibited the qualities that will make a good husband. My daughter already loves you. She has seen how you act." When we think about leaving a good legacy, leaving a good impression on people, having integrity, you must have integrity, but also you must leave a good impression on the people. And when we think about how Ifa is speaking about these things, oftentimes it's not just about the Irumole. It's not just about Olodumare. What I mean by that is, how do you see Olodumare acting? What I mean by that, do you see like Olodumare is like, okay, I'm going to flick this switch, I'm going to drop this on this person, I'm going to do this or that. No, you don't see those things. What we actually see is people supporting and affecting people. That is the way that we see the works of the Irumole many times, is by our own interaction with folks. So to be an agent of good character, to be an agent of Olodumare, to be an agent of the Irumole, is to do things with integrity and leave a good impression on the people of the world. To leave the world, to bring so much goodness into the world that people who should have been or might have been sad or crying, they are happy now. That is what the word shekundarin means. When people should have been or might have been sad, they're now happy because of the work you did. That is the work that these temples that we so hard, put so much hard work and take care of, Idinka, Oshebalufun, all these temples around it, Oturtuka, all these temples. The main goal is to leave a legacy, to create a legacy where an impression where we make smiles where people would have been frowning. Last but not least, I want to say an Ifa, which is from Ikameji. And this Ifa says so very much. Ifa says, "He who uses slender brass ornaments, rafters, today, the crab is set for a fight. It uses its fingers to scratch the soil. Feeble fight is what makes other birds to defeat Atioro in all encounters." These were Ifa's messages for Lafichi, the child of Aro. He was advised to offer Abo for his children. He complied. Through the children of Aro shall be installed as the next Aro. Excuse me. And the children of Ejemu, they shall be installed as the next Ejemu. It is the comportment and achievement of one's child that Orisha measure to judge one's level of success. That's such a powerful verse, especially the end. Because when we think about bringing a good name, doing good things in the world. Ifa is saying in this verse that when you think about legacy, we're talking about in this verse your physical legacy. The child of the Aro should be the next Aro. What is Ifa is not saying, oh, we're gonna define the destiny of this child. What it's saying is if your father had a good destiny, if your father did good things in the world, your father should teach those good things to you, and you too should live out that destiny that your parent, your father, your mother have laid forth for you. It's saying a child who comes from people who value thievery, that child will also value thievery. The parent valued thievery and drug abuse, that can be the legacy of that child. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that the things that we do teach the world. The things that we do teach our children. They're watching. They are the living manifestation of our legacy and good name. The things that we do, they will do. Sometimes I have to be very careful of if I'm listening to hardcore rap music around my kids, I have to turn it off because I might know the difference. And, I come from that era and I love that music, but they don't know how to differentiate between this is what I should say and this is not what I should say. So I have to turn it off because they will mirror that. They will reflect that back to me. I have to be careful what I say, what we say, the people that I bring them around, because they're going to reflect that back to me. So it's a very powerful process because it's telling me as a father, I have a responsibility. As an Awo, I have a responsibility. As an Oluo, I have a responsibility to do things that not only are right with God, because the stuff that's right with God is the stuff that people often don't see. But I have to not only be right with God or try to be right with God, I have to be right with the community. Because the community is going to be looking at me, and anything that I do, anything that you do as an Ifa practitioner, whatever your job is, they look at you and they judge the rest of the folks who do the stuff that you do or say that they do the stuff that you do. They judge them by you. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that it's real. So as we nurture our children, as we nurture the people as in our community, we have to reflect an example that is worthy of being held. Last Ifa verse I want to share is from the Odu Ogbeyono. Once again, anger amounts to nothing fruitful. Patience is the father of good character. The elder is he or she who knows everything. This was the Ifa cast for Ori Enu and Ori Ode. When coming from heaven to earth, they were both advised to offer a bow. They both complied. My character, I respect you. Please do not spoil my destiny. What I'm saying is that we all have a destiny. We all are picked by God to be great in our respective lane. But our character can be the thing that destroys our destiny, completely tarnishes it. There are so many people I know who are incredible, who are great, intelligent beings who are in prison because of a bad decision. because it's associating with the wrong folks. My character, please do not spoil my destiny. And when we think of destiny, I want you to input legacy. My character, please do not spoil my legacy. My character, please do not spoil my integrity. When we think about walking in the light of good character, we have to do so in such a way that upholds our appearance. When we think about, as I was saying before, I mentioned that Nip is like an Orisha of our neighborhood, if there could be one. And when you think about that, what I mean is this. What are the Orisha? Not the Irumole. I'm speaking Orisha now. There's a difference. When we speak of Orisha, Orisha are individuals. They are people. They can be natural phenomena like rivers. They can be trees, places, land masses. They can be those things, but the key to Orisha is leaving a legacy of character for others to follow. When we think about that, and when we think of Orisha, it is about an individual who has left such a powerful imprint on the world that everyone is like, I admire that aspect. That is a legacy of character. That is a good name. Part of my expression, but when you think about Uncle Ben or you think about Aunt Jemima, aside from the racial the racial connotations of that, what we see is a legacy of character. Because in essence, those were actual people who lived in this world. And whether it be their character or the way that they prepared rice or the way that they prepared pancakes or whatever, it left such a legacy of character that other people began to name a franchise after them. And the reality of that is that their names are being invoked. They're being invoked much in the way that Nipsey's name or Tupac's name or Grandma's name, Muddy's name, La Mother's name is being invoked. Why? Because they left a good name that other people said, I admire that and I want to follow that. I want to invoke the good things that their name represents. So in closing, I just ask for all of us to figure out ways that we can do things that will make the world better so that it will leave a good impression on humanity and it will leave a good legacy when we're gone. We will do things that will make our children proud of us. They will be happy to call our names. They will be excited and ecstatic to walk in our footsteps or to take our advice. Aboro, Aboye, Aboshishe. Thank you all so much for tapping in with us today. Thank you for listening to that Ifa sermon. I pray that it was something that was powerful and uplifting for you and uplifting for all of us. I want to make a couple of announcements. Those of you who are interested, every third Thursday, well, this will probably be the fourth Thursday of the month, I do Makings of Men. And that is a group of men who are in Ifa, and I want to begin to bring men and women together, but we're working so hard on the men. So if those of you who are interested in learning more about that, we're going to have Makings of Men this coming Thursday. Also, every first, I'll say perhaps second and fourth Friday of the month, we have a thing that we call Conversations with Ifa. And this is, we was doing Ifa classes, and what I think that the community needs at this point is opportunities to just bounce things off, to talk, to debrief, to have support and conversation with an Awo. So I avail myself twice a month to just sit down and talk to folks on different topics that concern us as folks in the community and as folks who practice Ifa. So if you are interested, as I said before, we'll still do Friday night Ifa class, but the Ifa class will come periodically. Right now, we're focusing on information, conversations, talks, opportunities to just ask questions based upon a topic. So those of you who are interested, please join. And we do that. I'm going to be doing this every third and fourth Friday of the month. So please, please, please enjoy. We had a really good talk this past Friday, and that was on the topic of I'm interested in Ifa. What next? So if you want to be involved in those conversations, please let us know and join in. And I want to also add, this is donation based. I'm just putting the Zoom link out there, so folks who are interested, you can just tap in and just, share and exchange what you can. So we thank you. We thank you so much. All right, so let's pray. Olodumare and all the Irumole, we thank you. We thank you so much for supporting us, energizing us, invigorating us to understand more about what it means to have a good name and good character. Help us to reflect those things in the world so that we can see it reflected back at us through the people that we affect. Help us and protect us from all the nastiness and the challenges of this world so that we can find, follow, and fulfill our destiny. Ashe, Aboro, Aboye, Aboshishe. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Thank you very much. Thank you again. We'll see you soon.